Welcome to another episode of Have Game Will Travel. I'm your host, Bennett Newsome, also known as Damn It Bennett out in the gaming community. But as the director of esports growth and development at Full Sail University, I'm super passionate about exploring the diverse world of esports and gaming beyond just skill level. So whether you're a first-time listener or a returning fan, we're thrilled to have you join us for this virtual journey through the experiences of industry professionals. So get ready to engage with our guests and learn from their perspectives. Remember to submit your questions in chat. We'll get them featured here on the show. But sit back, enjoy the ride as we kick off another episode of Have Game Will Travel with Sway Bae. Sway, how's it going? How are you doing?
I am doing lovely. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'm sounding a little funky, but it's like basically freezing in Florida right now, as you know. So
It is. It really is. I was gonna say it's possibly the weather, right? Like this is a very
oh yeah,
interesting time for us Floridians.
yeah. It's basically like the polar vortex, but Florida style, which
Exactly.
doesn't say very much.
You were listening to Newfound Glory earlier, and they have a song called "It Will Never Snow in Florida," and and they're wrong apparently. So, but Gary, well, welcome to the show. So excited to have you. Let's just jump in. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell everybody what you do, and just a quick brief overview.
Yeah, okay. I'm Sway Bae, and I have been a content creator and a streaming since 2018. I went full time in 2021, and I mostly work with Hearthstone, so I work a lot with Blizzard. And I'm so grateful for all of the awesome opportunities I've had so far. Actually, in September, I got flown out for the brand new expansion. I made a deck recipe that's currently in the game that's playable right now. Super exciting, probably one of the coolest things I've ever done. But I am really a large proponent for minorities and women in gaming, and just like creating a very inclusive gaming space for everyone, helping content creators along the way. That's my big thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's so much of the journey that we're going to talk about today, which I'm excited for. But what got you into this to start with? Like, how did you find Twitch? Like, what was that avenue, and how did you take those first steps into this?
Yeah, so actually, I didn't really know a lot about Twitch for a while. I was a lifelong gamer. Sonic Adventure 2 is like my favorite game of all time, and I just like grew up on console gaming. But then I have been a performer and an entertainer my whole life as well. I danced and acted and did all of that stuff, and wanted to find another outlet for it. I guess
Yeah.
my big purpose in life feels like making people's days better. And I wanted to find a way to connect more directly with an audience, and found Twitch. And I've played Hearthstone for so long, but I've always called it like just chatting with Hearthstone
Right.
because I
Side of
really
Hearthstone.
just want to, yeah, I really just want to connect with an audience. I want to grow a community.
Yeah.
I guess I approached it from an entertainer's perspective as opposed to a gamer's perspective,
Yeah.
which has brought a lot of different things to my channel than I expected.
Yeah, what sort of things have kind of come in that? Because obviously most people think of Twitch, they think of gaming. Obviously, the big just chatting section is huge. It's its own thing. But what sort of things have kind of come into your community from that that kind of that position? Because I know that like family friendly oriented streams are a big part of what you do. Focusing on like positive mental attitude, and that's a big part of your channel. I would love to learn more.
Yeah, I think that my approach, family friendly wise, like I was a dance teacher for a good chunk of my life. And I always cared about children like having that space, because it's so important that we create a good foundation for them. And I love, a lot of my viewers say like, I'm so happy to be here because I don't have to worry about swears or anything like that. I can watch and have my kids watch at the same
Yeah.
time. And that is something that I really enjoy. But just in terms of growing the community, I think that entertainment aspect has been more important to me. Like, okay, I did a subathon at the end of last month, and we did some super crazy things. Like, I sat on the floor and cooked dog treats with my dogs, and that kind of stuff. I feel like I wouldn't necessarily do if I was strictly a gaming
Right.
like centric creator, you know. but it still is just so fun for everyone watching. It was fun for my dogs. It was probably not as much fun for me, but you know what I mean? I just want to bring in more aspects. Like gaming streams don't need to be solely focused on games.
Right. Yeah. And I saw there was a pie in the face recently. I think that was part of the subathon.
Yeah, I don't know why I choose to do the things that I do to myself. There's like a threshold of like, is this going to make people laugh? Can I handle it emotionally? Yes, great. Thankfully, I'm not super worried about making a fool of myself because it's just a part of it, right? But
It is. It is. You have to step outside that box and realize that, hey, you know what? Well, I may be the butt of the joke today, but we're doing it for a good cause, right?
Exactly. I love being the butt of the joke because like then we can all band together and make fun of me, and it's fine with me. It's good. I'm good with it.
I love in my research, leading up to this show, I found like a lot of things that were parallel with kind of a lot of things with Full Sail, right? Like one of the things I think that we focus on from an education standpoint is all about trying to meet our students where they're at and provide opportunities for them that they continue down the road. Your channel, you talk about leaving someone's day better than you found it, right? Influencing your content and your community. I would love to get a deeper dive on just some of those things. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. How do you convey that in your channel? And not everybody has a good day. Some days are not great. What kind of things do you do to try to curb those feelings when you are streaming and you are being honest with your community?
Are you talking about like how when other people don't have that, or when I personally am not having that?
When you are you open with your community? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I try to be as transparent as possible because I think that it's the if I am here saying, "Hey, I'm not having a great day today," but we're gonna find some positive things to look at, and we're gonna,
Right.
maybe it's not my favorite day, but we're gonna get through this together.
Yeah.
It's. I think the transparency is really important because it's okay to not have a good day, but it's also okay to not fixate and focus on that bad day because I think that I've personally in my life been working on lately being able to control what you can,
Right.
because in a lot of those bad day moments it's your mood, it's your reaction that you
Hmm.
can control to whatever the bad thing is. And sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's so hard and I can't control it, and when I cannot control it I take that day off because
Yeah.
it is not my job to put my bad day out there for everyone else to make better or feel any kind of way about. But when I know that I have like most of a handle on it, because it is important. It's important to say, "Hey, I'm starting this day. It's not my favorite day for whatever reason, whether I want to share that or not.
Hmm.
But we're gonna find some light here. We're gonna find some positivity, some happiness, and maybe we'll play different games. Maybe we'll do something different than normal to find that together." But that's I think that's a big part of the community building too,
Yeah.
because I know if I'm not having the best day and I start stream, there's so many people that are like ready to just I'm a words person, and very often they call it breaking the sway because I cry when they say too many nice things to me. So everyone is so willing and generous with their words and just saying the nicest things, and I like to think that I reciprocate that as much as I can as well. We all try really hard to celebrate each other's wins
Yeah.
and pick each other up with the losses, and I think that's a really important part of the community.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that your community comes together for you, but it seems like you also come together for them, which is the best part about being a part of a community on Twitch, right?
Definitely. And the second best part of it, aside from that, is like there's so many different walks of life on
Yeah.
Twitch. Like nobody lives the same life on Twitch. And you're talking to this person whether you come to chat once a month, once a week,
Yeah.
once a day, however often you come by, and whatever you choose to share, like all of us really do care. We've built this really wholesome corner of the internet, and it feels like a lot of the mission of Full Sail that it creates that
Yeah.
vibe. Like I felt so. I visited the campus
You
for those of you
did.
that don't know, and it was such an inclusive, wonderful campus that really seemed so like customizable to the students, and I loved that, and I loved meeting you all and clearly you all care so much about what you do.
Yeah, it was great. We were so happy to have you on campus, and for those that don't know, we actually met you on the road. We were at DreamHack, and one of our grads was part of the Dreams Fund that you were also part of, and so there was an introduction to happen, and then we were like, oh my gosh, you're the best, and you're living in Orlando, let's be friends. So it was a very fun time for, I think, all of us, and getting you down to campus was super good. But I like what you said earlier about gaming and just chatting, and it's more of a hangout with Sway, and maybe we play games at the same time. So
Yeah.
your main game obviously is Hearthstone, specifically Battlegrounds, is that right?
Yeah, correct. I've played constructed, and every time in a kind of professional setting, I've constructed a few times, casted constructed a few times. But my like, I'm a little neurospicy. I got a little ADHD going on, and the pacing of Battlegrounds games is really wonderful for me because there's built-in breaks.
Yep.
So like, you play your turn, and then you have 40 seconds left, and then I can be like, all right, 40 seconds, read chat, and
Yep.
do whatever else, So that works out very well for my little neurospicy brain.
I love that. So with Hearthstone, what caught your eye initially about this game? I mean, it seems like you've been creating content for this for a long time. Was there something that you fell in love with, or have you been a big fan of deck building games? What kind of got you into that?
Actually, that's really funny because this is my first ever strategy game.
Okay.
Like, prior to this, it was platformers, very bad FPS because I have the reflexes of like a dead cat. Like, it's not a good situation for me, but I try. But it was a lot of platformers and a lot of like cozy games. But then I truly think it was just like, I like math when math likes me back.
Okay.
And that aspect of Hearthstone was nice for me because I was like, oh, that's a 4, and I have 4 health here, and then we can trade. And it like lit up my competitive side just a little bit. And also, like I said, the pacing really drew me to Hearthstone. When I started streaming, Battlegrounds didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
And then it started in 2019. And that's really when I like kicked streaming into gear, and I was like, this is something that I want to make something of.
Yeah.
And then I got a couple opportunities, thankfully, through them, and it just felt like a really good match.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's. I think diving into that is where I would love to go. You've done a lot with Hearthstone and Activision Blizzard, from hosting, casting. You put on one of the largest grassroots events. Talk to me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, so I feel like whenever I start anything, I go a little too hard in the paint, I think, which is like a good and bad thing because I'm kind of a workaholic. Like, if I like something, I go all in on it. But so I fell in love with streaming and with Hearthstone so fast. And as soon as I started like seeing that there could be a future of partnership there, I really like wanted to go for it. And there was not the biggest esports scene for Battlegrounds specifically. So my goal in that very first grassroots tournament was to just see if it was possible, see if we could do it. So I had like an admin team of like 5 volunteers. We had a ton of people signed up. We separated them all by ranking, so it was like it felt kind of fair. And we had like 12 lobbies going on at once, and each lobby had 8 people. It was so chaotic, but I always love. I used to try to host a tournament once a month, but then as we kind of tried to host bigger and bigger tournaments, I realized that maybe that's not so achievable. So
Lots of
it's
work,
been like
for
maybe,
sure.
yeah, it really is. Maybe like once every 3 or 4 months now, I try to host something just because the esports scene is not super there. Unfortunately, Lobby Legends was discontinued on the
Yeah.
battleground side of things. So, the best way to create any kind of community fun around it, like it's just hosting those tournaments. And we do bi-monthly community days as well, where we just build these private lobbies and battlegrounds and play together. And it's a nice way of connecting and also of playing in like, a moderately like, oh, it's competitive, or, oh, we build our own custom rules into the
Right.
game, and just kind of different ways of engaging with the game.
Yeah, that's really cool. And so from like the the production side and the hosting? Were you in like color commentary? Like how were you in those roles?
Yeah, I always, I honestly don't know how I did it the first several because I produced and cast and hosted it all by myself, which was like, I really, it must have been a mess. Like, I don't have any recordings of it, but it had to have been mostly a mess. But aside from that, like I hosted DreamHack Community Clash a few times on my channel, and all of the admin work and the production, everything was done outside. I just had to like spectate and cast, and I would have someone come on with me. And then I've cast a few tournaments for Supergirl Gamer Pro,
Yep.
and those were all Hearthstone tournaments. And thankfully, that's another one where you just sit back and let them count you in, and you do the casting. And
Yeah.
depending on who I casted with, it was usually like a half color commentary, half analytical.
Okay, cool. And then obviously you are almost like the triple threat here, because you can cast, you can produce, and you can compete. You took third place in the Blizzard Hearthstone Battle of the Boars tournament. Talk to us about like your competitive side of Hearthstone.
So the Battle of the Boars tournament was actually crazy. It was probably, I think, my second or third opportunity that I got. And it was like, oh, this is like $100,000 prize tournament. And everyone else in this, there were 16 creators invited, and all of the other 15, I was like, this person is like, they're so cool. Like, and I felt like, and then me, but like all of them. And I was on a team with someone that I so greatly respected in the Hearthstone scene, who's so incredibly good. And I was just blown away by it and had mad imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something that I battle actually pretty regularly in gaming. And it's a tough one, I think, having imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
But I forgot my question because I got hung up on that.
It's okay.
Battle of the Boars. Yes. And my competitive side of things. Yeah. So that was actually also my first flavor of any Hearthstone competition ever, was that tournament. And it felt so high stakes, and it was so stressful. But it was fun. It was a good introduction, I think. I have competed a couple times. I generally like to take my game knowledge and make silly things happen as much as I can. Like, I prefer to meme all day, but I know the game well enough. Like, I spend hours upon hours learning. I try to take what I do very seriously, where I know well enough about, like, here's this thing that's in the game.
Yeah.
Like, I always do like reveal videos, and I am a nerd for spreadsheets. So when I spend like I spend like anywhere from 2 to 5 hours, depending on how in depth it is, building a spreadsheet.
That's awesome.
On my research about a new expansion or a new patch, which is crazy. It's a lot of work. Yeah. But I just love my spreadsheets, and it helps a lot. And I like coming at a game with as much knowledge as I possibly can have. So I think I've been given a couple opportunities to compete. And when I'm given those opportunities, I absolutely take them and I run with them. But in my efforts of preserving my mental health and trying to, champion for positive mental attitude in gaming, I err away from the competitive side as much as I can, because it is very, very hard to balance having a positive mental attitude and competing.
Absolutely. The chat is very excited about spreadsheets, by the way. Just, I don't know if you caught that, but they are very amped.
Spreadsheets are great. I love spreadsheets.
Oh, that's awesome. And I can definitely understand. I mean, living in this world of esports and the competitive side of gaming, it can be overwhelming. And we have a lot of folks that we talk about burnout and where is the line, right? Like, and how to best approach those things. For you in this game, you obviously you're putting a ton of time and effort into the knowledge side of the game, and you're learning a lot. And that is a huge part. You hear people all the time say, oh, content creation is easy. And then the reality of the situation is that there's a lot of work there that goes into that, and it seems like that is something that you're actively pursuing with the spreadsheets, adding all that stuff together, bringing it, coming in with an educational side, which is always really good. So I love that. How do you approach things like burnout? You know, is there times when you say, hey, I just can't handle Hearthstone right now, I've got to take a break and play something else?
Are we talking about like game burnout, or are we talking about like content creation
All
burnout?
of
Because
it,
I feel like
yeah,
those are
yeah.
two very different. Oh, all of it.
Let's
Okay.
let's talk about content creation burnout, because I think that that's something that we don't cover as much as the game side of the burnout. So I would love to get your take there.
Yeah, I think I've been actually consistently burnt out for the past like 2 years. Like I think that I'm like on a pretty steady burnout, which is like not a great thing. But I think that that's kind of the battle that you fight in
Hmm.
content creation, because it's this constant need to stay relevant, you know, almost, because you take any kind of break and you have FOMO. And if you want to like really, you know, investing the amount of time that you need to invest in content creation
Yeah.
is insane. Like to wear all of the hats that you need to wear as one human is actually, I think, legitimately impossible. If you were doing everything yourself without any automation, without any like external help of any variety, it feels almost
Yeah.
impossible to consistently post on, you know, when I first started content creating, they talked about pick one thing and stick with it and do a lot of it.
Hmm.
And now in the last couple of years, it's all about diversification.
Yeah.
Like be on this platform, be relevant on this platform, like spread yourself super thin across all of the things,
Yeah.
but also do it well and also make it look effortless. And it's really tough.
It
And
is.
I consistently drop the ball with one platform or another. But I'm trying this year to give myself grace with that. That's been my resolution this year of
Yeah.
it's okay if I don't post YouTube as much as I want to, because I'm doing my best here. But I think that's just such a tough battle. I mean, you create content as well.
I
How do you fight your burnout?
it is challenging, and I totally agree with you on all of this, because there's moments when you get in that stride and you're posting a video every day and you're on that consistency high and you're chasing the views and you're excited because your hard work is paying off, and then you hit that line where, oh, I am exhausted and I have no time. And that I think is
Right.
the challenge. And you fall off that, and then you start to feel guilty, and you're like, well, numbers aren't as good because I'm not putting in all of that effort, but at what cost? And that's always what it comes to my mind, is like, at what cost? Yes, those streams and the content that I was putting out when I was releasing a video every day was great, but it wasn't sustainable in the long run, right? And so I think you find that middle ground of, hey, I can put out this and I can stay consistent in these areas when I can do all of the things, and we post a lot of clips and shorts and things, like then that's great, but that's not a priority. And I like what you said about giving yourself grace is your New Year's resolution, because that is such an important piece of being a content creator, is not kicking yourself while you're down, and taking the time to allow yourself to breathe and try other projects, and maybe not post anything for a while, and not get caught up in the views. So I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, I had to actually had to take a pretty drastic step last year. I realized that my like viewership was really I don't think I've talked about this ever like really out loud, but I realized that my viewership was like really affecting me in the way of like sometimes there's so much to viewership that we cannot control. Like
Uh-huh.
there's so much there that is out of our control.
Yeah.
But I was attributing my viewership to my worth. So like whatever number that is right now
Yep.
is how entertaining I'm currently being. And I was taking it very, I was really, I think at a certain point, I looked at that number like at least once a minute, and it was super bad for my mental health. It was just really draining on me, because that's not what I'm about. I'm not trying to be here for that number. I mean, not in that way. I'm trying to be here for the people,
Yep.
all those people, whether it's one person, whether it's 100 people, however many people are there. I want to be there for them. I want to be as much of myself as I can be for them. And that number is not supposed to impact that.
Yeah.
So I made a conscious effort a couple months ago to hide that number for myself. Like I removed it from every UI I could
Yep.
so that I could not see that number anymore because it was actually legitimately affecting me and I didn't even realize it. And I felt myself, even after when I took it away, I felt my eyes go back to the place that it was.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy because that number shouldn't define us, but like
It does. Yeah.
everything tells us it should.
Yep. Yep.
That number is not your worth. None of your numbers are your worth.
I did the same thing, and I started to look at the analytics after the fact, and I would not look during the streams because it does that same thing. It's like, you know, now I'm focused on trying to figure that out versus being entertaining, and that's tough. So I did the same thing, blocked all the numbers, didn't have them in my eyesight. You know, I'd have to look all the way over here or something. You know, but that was a huge thing. But obviously the numbers are important. There are things that you have to pay attention to those in the content world, but doing it while you're live is going to affect your mood, right? Like, and
Absolutely.
so waiting till after to figure out, okay, well, what's going on? You know, and content creation is tough in that specifics because someone jumps in your chat and you make a great connection with them, and then you don't hear from them ever again. You're like, what happened? Was it me? Like, what did I say something? Like, and you never know, and you're never gonna know. And then maybe like 6 months later, they like, oh, hey, what's up? And you're just like, where have you been? Like, it's always a fun, entertaining, you know, kind of thing. But you never know what's going on in other people's lives unless they're telling you, obviously. But you know, it's such a different thing, and you know, you can't sometimes read too far into why someone left and why they haven't been around, and you just hope that they're doing good, and you know, you got to carry on with what you're doing.
Yeah, it's easy to let things impact that way. Or like if someone says something, because I'm a words person, if someone says one thing that just like irks me just a little bit, sometimes I hold on to that. And then I'm like, why am I giving this the mental energy? You know, why am I allowing that to sit in my brain when so much more is happening? And that's a very, especially when you're a live streamer, like when that is your primary, and then you take your live streams and you edit those down for your short form, whatever the case, when you're live and something affects your mood like that, that's like, it's such a detriment to you and your job and what you do and how you can make it better. And but it's human nature, right? Like nobody's perfect. And especially in these moments of like, you were talking about like being transparent earlier about like having a bad mental health day. I think this falls just right alongside that, because if something bothers you enough, then it's going to impact you. And like, there's so much unsaid, and there's so much when it comes to the way that we are able to express. Like someone can see us expressing, you can see my face, you can hear the intonation on my voice, but when I read your text, I can't see that.
Right. Yeah.
I can't see your face. I don't know the meaning behind your words, you know?
Yeah. Which is always good with the emotes. You know, that always helps a little bit. You know, you can maybe tell if someone's joking or upset, but it's not always the case. It doesn't always happen. You know, that way. I know that your dogs are a big part of your stream. My dog is currently trying to be a big part of this stream. But tell me about your dogs and how you interact with them. I know your community loves the dogs and they take over the stream sometimes. So talk to us about the dogs.
Yeah, so they are definitely not my dogs. They are everyone's dogs. They are the dogs of the community, and they are just a racket. Actually, what I have a treat redeem where you can redeem it once an hour, and I give the dogs treats, and we've been doing this thing that they used to give me paw, but we've been working on Go Team, where I flip my hand upside down and we go like a break kind of situation.
Okay.
It's really adorable, but they've actually trained my dogs to know that that's going to happen right when I start stream. So now when I sit down and I get ready for stream, like one of my dogs, they share a brain cell, but most of the time it belongs to Biff, like my older dog.
Okay.
He has the shared brain cell most of the time. And he knows, he watches for certain signals for when I do certain things. And he's like, oh, this is about to happen. And then like 5 minutes before stream, he sits where they get treats, and he just sits there and he just starts drooling. And it's just horrible.
He's just waiting.
So now whenever I go to like just record a video when I'm not streaming. He expects it. Like if I have all my lights on in here and I'm ready to go and I start talking, he's like, oh, it's time.
Mom, you're doing the thing. It's time for my treat. Let's go.
It took him like a week to get trained by chat, and it took Waffles about 3 months, but he got there. He did get there. But yeah, no, I mean, I try to incorporate them as much as I can, and I really truly, they're such a source of joy for myself and for so many people. And I think actually one of my mods dropped I have some clips of the dogs. They make the most ridiculous noises. So usually, because Hearthstone is just a mouse game, one of my dogs, at least one of them at all times, is like trying to sit with me while I'm sitting down. And if I have a sit and stand desk, because I heard about streamers getting blood clots and had a panic, and I was like, I should get a sit stand desk and stand more often. So I got a stand desk, and he sits there and he bullies me and just yells at me until I sit down. So then I can resume my job as a dog chair. Yes. But how does your dog impact your streams? I need to know.
So one of my mods I put in chat, executive producer Norman, which is I have one of the Elgato foot switches, and one of the buttons on the foot switch is a clip button. So anytime a clip, something funny in game happens, I'll just touch it with my foot, and we're good. Then we go back later, we edit the clips, and it's great. Makes it very easy to find the funny stuff and post it later. But sometimes, and I'm sure if I was live on my personal channel, this would be happening right now, because Oliver is under my desk, and he is the much bigger dog. But he will step on the foot switch, and I will just have these random clips that don't make any. They're completely out of context, and I'm like, what? What is this? And I'm like, of course it's Norman. He's stepping on the thing. So that's a big one. We get a lot of the barks. Some barks happen. But it's always fun. They're big fans of the stream, and they spend every morning with me, which is always good. So
I didn't actually know there's a foot switch.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like I should know about that, but also I fear that the same thing would happen to me with the clips.
Yes. If it's under your desk, whatever it will happen. It will definitely happen.
They'll be like, this is clearly for me, so thank you for my new gift.
Yeah, they will think that if you push the button, the treat will come, right? That's like they'll start to add that to the clip in all your videos. So it will be very funny. Sometimes they do get a good clip, though. I will admit there has been one where Norman stepped on it, and it was at the right time. So it does work out every now and then.
Sorry, the dogs just came in with some serious violence. They're not like they just like came in with a vengeance. Apologies, I got so distracted just now.
So we've both worked with Supergirl Gamer. We've had a lot of students and some grads that have worked and helped with their streams and tournaments and doing the TO stuff. I would love to know more about your experience with them as you've been diving into Hearthstone tournaments with them.
Yeah, they're amazing, truly amazing. Like I love what they do. I love that they care to support, femme and non-binary people in the community. I think that's so great. And how many different games they do. Like if you are femme identifying or non-binary, you should definitely please look into Supergirl Gamer Pro, because it's a great avenue to start competing. Like if that's something that you want to start doing in some capacity, I think that their mission statement is wonderful. It's beautiful. And I think there should be more of that out there, which is hard because, esports has its limitations,
right?
And it's a growing industry right now, and it's had its ups and downs and fluctuations, and it's going through the the beginning stages of what it could be. Because it's crazy how quickly, if you really think about how quickly esports has grown, like it's kind of insane. It has not had nearly the amount of time as sports. Sports
right.
Clearly not sports, but it's really not had that much time. It's still very young as a whole,
Yeah, absolutely. My good friend Jacob Nachos calls them T-sports for traditional sports. They've had way more time than esports has, obviously, but it is really growing. Obviously the pandemic really helped put it in center stage of most people were stuck at home, and they started getting into different things, finding Twitch, YouTube, doing different stuff. So that definitely helped give it a boost. But You're absolutely right. I mean, there's so much opportunity now that's growing in the field, and I think that's the really exciting part. And that's really what this whole show is about, is that there's so much more to gaming, esports, content creation, all of those things than just being good at the game. Like, obviously, that's an important piece for the competitive side. But if you're
Right.
interested in it and you want to be part of it, there's just so many different avenues to be part of. And I think that's such a cool part about gaming, is that you can really just, hey, I'm going to try this and then see where it goes. And you never know where it's going to take you. I mean, for you, I mean, obviously you were the 2024 broadcaster fellow for the Thousand Dreams Fund. That's how we met.
Yeah.
That was something that I'm sure that you probably didn't expect to happen. How did that kind of all come together?
Oh my gosh, no, not at all. I remember that day so very well because Kayla, the community manager for 1DF, is just such a kind soul, really, really awesome human. And I became a broadcaster ambassador, the Thousand Dreams Fund ambassador dream team. And that's just, whenever Supergirl Gamer Pro opened a lot of doors for me in the way of not knowing that there
Right.
was all of this stuff out here. And then you join a Discord, and then you learn about this thing, and you join another Discord. And I joined their Discord and found out about it. And I'm like, yes, I want to be a champion for the people that don't know about these things, and let me, put these opportunities in front of people. Let me help. So I tried to be a dream team ambassador and got accepted. And then the first or second program that they ran was for the fellows, the 5 fellows for the year.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just gonna shoot my shot. I don't know. There's opportunity out there, and there's so many deserving people. And I was like, I'm just gonna try, and like, kudos to whoever gets it.
Yeah.
And then they did a live stream of, just to say like a couple announcements. And I was actually on that live stream, and then Kayla was like, hey, just like hang out for a second. We're about to do this announcement. And then I saw my face on the screen, and I was like, excuse me, that was me. I was not expecting it, but it was such an amazing opportunity. We got to go to DreamHack and met you all there, but also got to shadow the stage manager there. And she was such a boss, and the community manager, like so many, like just seeing women in these positions was like such a breath of fresh air for me, because I've always worked in very like male dominated industries. I was in sales for a while. I was in marketing, and like I just worked around a bunch of people that I didn't really like identify with in a lot of ways. And just seeing them, and just the wonderful, beautiful souls that they were, and just doing their jobs. Like even most of the jobs that I see between like content creation jobs and esports and all this stuff, it wasn't an option when I was growing up. Right. I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me doing these things that I'm doing now. And that's a lot of my hope, is that someone sees me and they're like, I identify with her. Look at what she's doing. I can do that too. Like that would be just, that's what I want. I want to inspire people to do things. And I think that visibility is so important. Yeah. Like it really, really is. And there's so much of that's lacking still, but like we're getting there. Like I think a lot of people are putting in a lot of really good work. Absolutely. To create better visibility and more opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so important to see it firsthand, even being like on the male side of things, right? Watching my nieces watch our team captain, who was a woman, for our Overwatch team. They were like, wait, what is this? Like, who? I can do that, like, and just actually seeing that happen, like, hit me hard, and it was just such an important piece in this industry to have that. And so I'm 100% on board with you. Seeing more people represented in these spaces is really important, because it opens that door. It really provides that opportunity. So I'm glad that you did that. I love that they were a little sneaky with the live stream. We've done that a couple times on our end for some scholarship announcements for students before, and told someone that we were having a fireside chat once, and then they got a scholarship. They were very surprised. Also a little mad that I fibbed a little bit, but it was still good,
I love that. But I bet you, like, their instant reaction, like their face, that makes my heart so happy. You're like, just kidding. I lied, but also you get money.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah,
And
this
the
is helps.
opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's great, and I totally agree with you on just the vantage point of that. So I'm glad that you were able to be part of that, and I'm glad that we got to meet you. Obviously, um, as we continue kind of going down your journey, I think one of the biggest things that from the content creator side of things is understanding like the challenges that you face and how you overcome them. And obviously we talked about burnout and things like that, but like what sort of challenges do you typically see in this field, and how do you overcome them?
Oh, that's a big question.
I
Um,
know.
yeah, I mean, I feel like the biggest challenge is like your ego, right? Like
Yeah.
yourself, because when you are a content creator, like you have to choose your path, right? This is not anything that's like, here's a cookie cutter way of doing this correctly. Actually, that's such a pet peeve of mine when I see those like clickbait videos of like the do these 10 things and you'll be a Twitch partner.
Yep.
But like first of all, being a Twitch partner is a step on the road. It's not
Yeah.
like your end goal. And then second of all, it's not going to work for everyone. Your formula is not a cookie cutter formula
Yep.
because the best way to succeed is just to be yourself and like do what makes you happy because your authentic happiness will make so many other people happy, you know? Whatever that may be for you, whether you are very much into games and don't really want to have that interaction, but you're super good at games, that's
Yeah.
an avenue. Or you want to have all the interaction and you are kind of trash at games. Hi, hello, it's me sometimes. So like that's just how it goes. So I feel like the biggest challenge is just avoiding all of those things and doing what you need to do for yourself because you can see all of your idols in content creation succeed a certain way, but doing what they do is not going to necessarily work for you. And that's so challenging. And so, like, I spent 2 years trying to mimic everything I saw because I thought that's what I needed to do. And that's what I've honestly kind of done my whole life of trying to like just do what everyone around me is doing. And because I just didn't have a lot of confidence in myself. And I think that like this really has like made me blossom as a human
Yeah.
and give me all of the confidence because I had to figure out who I was
Yeah.
to do this. And it feels almost like I feel like I gave like a very philosophical existential kind of answer there, but like that feels like the biggest challenge for me
Yeah.
for me.
And I love that because I think it's so true. You're absolutely right. You can watch all these videos and try to mimic the things that you of the people that you're into, and like being inspired by other creators isn't a bad thing, but if you're just trying to follow this formula that someone else created, it's not always going to work. You have to put and build your presence, and kind of brick by brick, and so I totally agree with you that it's something that you just really have to open up for. Chat says be yourself, right? And like that is a huge part. People want to get to know you, right? They want to be part of that community. They want to be able to interact with you. And most people, especially in the gaming space, they know when you're not, you know, they know when you're faking it, right? Let's just say that,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
so
Being inauthentic is the worst thing you can do.
yeah, and that goes a long way. And so for you, obviously consistency has played a big role in your success. And I know that's such an important piece of the puzzle as a content creator. Talk to me a little bit about your kind of schedule and how your day-to-day works when it comes to your content.
Yeah. So I mean I've tried I've tried a lot of different iterations of a schedule for myself.
Yeah.
Still a work in progress, but I do try to like I have a website that I try to
Yeah.
make like a hub for all of my information, whether it's like I've like a blog on there that I have not posted on since May, but I'm going to start doing that again this year. And I have a calendar on there that's probably the most used part of the website where I put my whole month up there of streams and of videos and what you can expect and when you can expect it. And you can export it to your calendar if you so choose. But it's like just a good, helpful, here's this place. And I put the community days on there. I put whatever extra information I can on there. And I try to stick to approximately the same times. I think that's important. That
Yeah.
is incredibly important. And most of those, like, here's how to be a Twitch partner in 10 days. Not 10 days. That's not possible. But like a lot of them reference having consistency and a schedule. And I do find that incredibly important because people need to know that they can find you
Yeah.
on your channel at certain points. And then as you grow, it may become a little bit less relevant. But especially as you are growing, it is super important, I think, to stick to the schedule. And I try to be friendly to like this side of the world for the weekdays, and then the weekends I try to do the mornings for Europe and the other side of the
Yeah.
world. So try to just make everyone happy there with my schedule, and also not overwhelm myself. And then I give myself 2 days a week to, one of them is a flex day for either an extra stream or editing and filming, and the other one is a full editing and filming day. So I try to take at least one full day off.
That's good. Yeah, having some time to yourself. You got to fill your cup before you can go
Yes.
and continue to put it out all the information. Do you multi-stream, or you have main platforms Twitch and YouTube? Are you going out? Are you involved in TikTok? Like, what is your strategy there?
So tried multi-streaming, and I found it really challenging, but I also feel like I had to do it kind of um, it was not the smartest daisy chaining way of having different things. Cause like I like having music that doesn't save to my VOD on Twitch,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't do that with having the multi-stream. It's all
Yep.
very challenging tech wise. But I have goals to retry multi-streaming again this year. I think it's really honestly very important to do to grow. But I have been kind of sticking to Twitch because one of my favorite things to do is like tech integrations. So I have like things that turn the lights on and
Yeah.
off or change the light colors, and like things like that through channel points on Twitch that I wouldn't be able to integrate in other
Right.
locations. But that's something I really find fun and like to focus on, like having things pop up on screen and stuff like that. So I feel like it would feel a little less inclusive to other platforms, but I've been trying to find ways around that, and that is a goal that I have. It's as soon as Twitch kind of released partners from not being able to do that, I feel
Yeah.
like everyone was so smart and jumped right on that, and I was like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
And here we are, like 2 years later. But
Right.
I plan to.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely understand the music side of things. That is the hardest thing. That was the first thing to go when I started to multi-stream, because it was like this this video has been copyright stricken. You know, like,
Yes.
oh, that's
Yeah.
great, perfect. So music had to go, but I definitely understand that for sure. With the content itself, you had mentioned earlier trying to work your schedule around different time zones, and is it the same content that you're providing during those time zones, or are you doing different builds and different game modes for different days?
I mean, eventually I've been hoping to, I started out as a variety streamer.
Okay.
And like I did focus on Hearthstone, but I still played a lot of other things. Like I used to do scary games on Fridays, which is crazy because I hate scary games. Like it was fun for everyone except for me. But it was fun for everyone, so that was fine. But I've been meaning to kind of dabble back into variety a little bit. And I mean, our community days are generally daytime streams on weekends, so in that way, I'm kind of focused that there. But in general, it's about the same. But I like doing like random little things here and there, not based on time zones or anything, just kind of based on when I'm able to do it. I had a lot of subathon goals that kind of leaked into the beginning of this year because I
Okay.
had to do a little planning and prep for it. Like I dressed up like this character Bran Bronzebeard from Hearthstone, which is like his big Viking beard
Oh,
and
okay.
mustache
Yeah.
combo, and I put fake eyebrows on. It was a whole thing. I thought I looked kind of cute with it, but it's subjective.
We'll have
Like
to find that VOD and check it out.
Yeah. But I've been doing stuff like that, and it's been really refreshing actually, like switching it up a little bit, and the dog treats, like I said, and just like all the random stuff. I love entertaining. Like I spent a good amount of time planning some YouTube videos. Like I made a card back. I made a Hearthstone card back, which I think you can see. It's like on the wall over there.
Yep.
And I made a Hearthstone card back and made a YouTube video of that. And I was like, this will be easy. It'll be a 1-day film. It ended up taking like 10 hours. So, and it's literally just cardboard. So I realized that it might be a little ambitious, but I've been meaning to, like, I've been working on a lot of like filming and editing outside of just live streams, which isn't the most time effective. but has like reinvigorated my joy for creation.
Yeah, I love that you go, oh, this is going to be an easy video, and then it's the hardest thing that you've ever had to do.
I didn't think cutting cardboard would be challenging. I really didn't, and you wouldn't think so. But then 10 hours later, and like I learned X-Acto knives are made for right-handed people.
Oh, I did not know that yeah. And tell me more. How did you find it? I'm so confused. I didn't know. Is it?
Yeah, because
I guess
because
the angle, right?
Well, no, they like the twisty part where you can take the blade off spins the way that you spin your hand when you're a lefty. And so like the blade would just keep coming out of the X-Acto knife, which I'm sure you can imagine was a bit of a hazard.
Yes, definitely a hazard for sure.
So yeah, I learned that the hard way. No injuries. Everything's fine. There was no blood in the video. Everyone's okay. But yeah, it's the little things that you learn through through making YouTube videos, right?
Yep. X-Acto knife, what's up? Where are you at? Like, we need to know.
Can you make a lefty X-Acto knife for me, please?
There we go. Do you get a lot of like aspiring content creators in your stream? Are there is your community filled with people that are also creating content? And if so, what sort of advice do you give them? Because obviously you've got a great community. It's very positive, engaged, and really trying to bring the good forward. How do you give that advice to your viewers?
So there's actually been a couple people that have been like trying to ask questions throughout my whole time creating content. Some people have brought me questions about creating content, and I ended up making like a separate section in my Discord because I like to talk, and I can talk about nothing for a very long amount of time, and I can tangent, which I'm pretty sure I've done multiple times today, but that's besides the point. But I can tangent pretty easily. So I was like, this is a pretty involved question. So drop it in like the channel in the Discord. And it's like, I wanted to, my goal for that part of the Discord was to make like a networking space for, creators to lift each other up and that kind of thing, which I'm still trying to build it a little bit more. But because I think like, especially when you are gravitated towards like a community for a reason,
right.
I feel like it's a great networking tool as well, because if you're gravitating here, that means that it's like-minded, and which means that your viewership is going to enjoy each other. So I try to answer what I can in chat, and I think most of the advice that I give to people I've said today, but just like be yourself is like the biggest thing. As soon as someone says, I want to make content, like if you had to give me one piece of advice, I would always say be yourself. And then my second bit of advice was diversify your content as soon as you can. Like get on, like it doesn't have to be great. Just put something out there.
Yep.
But 100%. I don't even hold myself to that. I'm such a perfectionist, and I'm like, but I have to do it perfectly, but I don't. I just need to put things out there, But just get something out there. It's not going to be perfect, but just start,
And even going back to what you talked about with the spreadsheets, we're going to talk about spreadsheets again, but you talk about learning, right? You're researching, you're doing all of this, you're compiling this information. That's such a good part. And that goes hand in hand with just posting your content. It will probably not be great at the beginning, but 10 videos down the line, you're going to learn something. 20 videos down the line, you're going to take that information that you learned on that 10th video and you're going to apply it to the next 10. And suddenly it's starting to get better. And I am also the same way. I'm a perfectionist when it comes to it. I overcommit on videos all the time. And I'm like, this is going to be the greatest series of breakdowns on how to do these missions. And I'm going to do voice acting for the characters. And I'm going to do all these things. And then I realized like, I just dug myself this humongous hole because now it's going to take me like 6 hours to do every single video. And there's going to be like 100 of them. That was a mistake. Make it easy, put the content, don't put too much crazy stuff in it, and you'll be fine. So I think I definitely understand where you're coming from. What sort of things inspire you to push the boundaries, as a content creator and a community leader?
I think that I just like. I think it honestly, my perfectionism it's such a double-edged sword, but I really truly want to like push and inspire. So I think that I am constantly like it's actually so bad because sometimes if I start a thought and I'm laying down for bed, I need to finish that thought. Otherwise I will not sleep. So it'll be like 3 in the morning and I have an idea and I've finished my idea at 3 in the morning. But I just want to like I given the fact that I want to create this inspiring space for people and like let people know they can do it too. I try really hard to innovate and sometimes it's kind of not fair of myself to do that to myself and I'm saying that right now. I'm never going to say that to myself again, but I'm just like I need to push boundaries and I need to do this and I need to do that. But that's I think just showing up is the most important thing. I really do. And I there's so much that inspires me and there's so many people that inspire me and like conventions are so inspiring to
Yeah.
me like either meeting people from my community or meeting people like when I met you all at DreamHack like just like-minded people in the space and getting to talk to them and get their perspective on things because everyone has such a unique perspective on
Yeah.
things. It's so wonderful because you get so invigorated. My heart was so full after DreamHack and I was ready to tackle it. And just hearing people's stories and their connections to their communities, whatever they do in the gaming world, helps so much with inspiring me.
So we have come to the end of the road for this conversation, but I do want to know a couple things. First off, I want to give you some time to shout out where people can find you, how they join your community, all of those things. But for you, what's next? Like, what's on the horizon for you? Do you have anything that you're looking forward to? Any big plans? I know I was lurking the stream earlier, so there's some stuff that you're like, well, you can't know now, but later we'll tell you. But what's on the horizon for you?
Oh man, I'm trying to remember what I was talking about at the start of stream.
You were talking about auditions. You had done auditions, and but you can't tell anybody about it yet. So.
Oh yeah, okay. So actually, also at DreamHack, man, that was a really important convention for me last year. But I talked to a very inspiring person in the space who is a voice actor for Overwatch, and we chatted for a second, and I used to audition a lot in acting and just voice acting. It was something that I really loved doing, and I think I put it all on a back burner because stream was bringing me more joy.
Yeah.
Because like in that world, there's a lot of rejection, like a lot of rejection. So I have decided that I'm going to be putting myself back out there this year. So just some more auditions for me probably this year and trying to do things in games and other ways, but hoping to stay consistent with stream and of course because that's my thing.
Yep.
But also trying to do more. I think that it's important to be uncomfortable, and I think that I let myself get very comfortable in growth in stream, but not uncomfortable enough to grow. So I'm putting myself out there more with auditions this year. So that's kind of what's next for me, I guess. But yeah, hoping to keep, casting, hosting, doing all the things that I love to do, streaming. And what was the other part of that question? I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. Just kind of shout out where people can find you. How do people get in contact?
My website, swaybae.net, is like a hub for all of the things like I mentioned, but also like, I'm active on Instagram, on Twitter, on trying to get active on Blue Sky, which working that one in is weirdly challenging for my brain. I'm live on Twitch at least like 4 times a week. I also post to YouTube and hopefully we'll be live to YouTube in the next month or so. But lots of places to find me. Swaybae.net is the place for all of the things.
That is incredible. Well, thank you so much for being a guest here today. It's been great talking to you. Obviously, we'll continue conversations in the future, but thank you so much. Our next episode of Have Game Will Travel will be on February 6th with our good friend, Full Sail graduate, DJ Knights, who's also a Twitch partner, streamer, content creator for Team Liquid. Very excited about that show. But Sway Bae, any last thoughts before we go?
Thank you so much for having me. I love these chats. They were really fun today. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Well, have a great rest of your day, and we will see you guys later.